Hi, what new possibilities will you create? Today's guests will share their story and provide insight. From my network to yours, let's get to it.
As far as sales prices, we're moving right along. We most definitely looked into what it takes to qualify for a mortgage first and foremost. Honestly, listening has always been a thing for me. I There are a lot of times where people think I'm not listening, or I'm concentrating, I'm focusing, I'm making sure that I get everything that you want and that you need. And there are times where sometimes I'll go back over items and just for confirmation that I heard everything that you wanted.
Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
So what's up, my man? Tell them who you are, man. Tell them who you are.
Man, I'm a Seattle guy, West Seattle. I'm Pacific Northwest.
You Seattle guy?
Yeah, I'm a Seattle guy.
There's black people
through and through, man.
There's black people here in Seattle?
Oh yeah, we here. Yeah, I'm a Seattle guy, Pacific Northwest through and through. Love the Northwest. It's quiet around here. A lot of economic prosperity, but we're here, we're alive, born and raised, been started out in the Central District, and my parents moved over to West Seattle, and I've called that home over the years.
Yeah, West Seattle's beautiful, man.
Oh man, it's so nice over there. A lot of changes and transition for the upward mobility of real estate.
Yes.
Got the beautiful views, great walkability, parks and dogs. It's getting pricey over there, but it's a nice place.
You gotta tell them, people love the dogs here in Seattle.
Yeah, they do. Or, the dog is the best friend, a lot of times, and they teach you a little bit better than humans a lot of times.
I know. They think they are human, man. It's a problem. True. Seattle, good dude. Good. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
What's happening out here in the real estate market? You heard what Tracy was sharing about Nashville. What's happening in Seattle? What's opening up out here with COVID? Shift, any downswing, upswing? What are you seeing?
For Seattle market for the last 2-3 months, we had a small little slight adjustment of about 4% in the Seattle real estate market.
Yep.
Just because of COVID, and normally you start to really increase in price and productivity starting in March. And what has happened is there's been a delay and a pause in the increase for buyers and homes on the market because of COVID. For the last 2-3 months, as realtors, we couldn't really even go out and show. So we were even on a pause.
Yeah, what happened? That is unique here, because that didn't happen in Nashville. I mentioned to her earlier. Yeah, what was that about? What was that?
Well, what the Northwest MLS, what they did, they had us pause everything because they didn't really know where it was going with the COVID, and it was so much exposure with agents going into houses and opening up a whole another liability phase of doing your whole real estate thing day to day. So what they did, they put us on pause, and a lot of agents that were having listings on coming on the market, they would do virtual video. So virtual tours became one of the forces. Even now, you can virtual tour, and that's been one of the good things to continue the flow of homes on the market and being sold. So that was one of the shifts that we had stumbled upon these past few months.
Actually, I like that. I actually wonder, to your point, you see it going to stay? I'll say yes, right? Because
yes.
Think about folks, especially Seattle, for folks that know you've got the data more than me, Keelan, is this city's a transit city. People relocate from everywhere. California, West Coast, the East Coast, Midwest. So you got folks that are coming from so to your point, I can see the virtual tour of a house still closing deals. Were you able to close deals on a house while you actually physically seeing it?
Absolutely. I mean, virtual tours for me has been one of the things that I've did for my out-of-town investors in California.
Yeah.
I've worked with Chinese investors that we did virtual tours, and they kind of know what they want. So they don't necessarily have to be there live and direct. They trust your experience and your expertise.
Yeah.
And so virtual tours have been, at the forefront for most investors for the past 5 or so years. You got Redfin that does a really good job of, promoting virtual tours for people to purchase. And that's been a platform that's been going on for quite some time, even pre-COVID. But now it's really happening for retail buyers.
You know what's interesting? Like you said, I have a reaction I'll share. Is like the tools are great and that will help enhance the process. But what I see it still can't do is what I find both you and Trelise especially do very well is you listen attentively, you connect, you literally, like you said, trust. They trust your expertise. It's beyond that. It's also you become their eyes, and so you almost have a lens into what they're looking for. You get into your thoughts about what they expect, and so while they can't physically go to the property, you do. Absolutely. And like what I did with Trelise, for example, she went to the property, she saw it. I literally felt as if I saw it. I didn't see the property for a month later, a month and a half later, because I thought I already saw it. And when I saw it, it was like this. And I didn't do a virtual tour, and so what I see there, and I share with you, is locking into the connection piece between here's what a virtual part can bring, but it does not replace the need for the human eye. Absolutely. That you connect to provide that perspective of well, I would say virtual tours can still create blind spots that you don't see. but yes. But when you're there, you see it. You feel me? And so I think if we can tap into that, I think you got something really developing from there. That's just my thoughts. I wanted to share it as a surface to my third eye as you were talking.
No, that says a lot about the value that we as experienced agents bring, because the property is supposed to sell itself as long as we're listening to the clients and we're connecting with what they're asking for and we're delivering on the promise that we have, that to provide utmost service. So as long as what you're telling us, we're really responding with ethics and we're really, delivering, I think that most of the heavy lifting is done when you see it, because what you wanted, it's what you, and if it's not, then we have to go back and revisit what it is that we're doing,
You're right. Trace is right. Like Trace mentioned, I saw a day before closing, and that was more formality. At that point, I was already sold, right? And it was more like, because of that, to your point, the legwork you do, the investment up front, and follow up. And that's a two-way door, though, right? You
Absolutely.
Get to learn also how to know when a customer isn't being truthful with you and when to exit. When you say, hey, I need to disconnect from you. This is not a good relationship here. Yeah. Because two is not always one way serving, right? It's two way, because your brand, your name, yourself is at the table, and you can see a disconnect, or their values is not aligned with your values. How does that work, man?
Well, it's it's one of those things that is uncomfortable a lot of times, but it's important because, like, for instance, when I'm showing clients properties, I like to scale from a 0 to 10, 0 being the worst about the property and 10 being the best. And then I ask them why, because we've already discussed kind of what they're looking for in a house or an investment property. We've already discussed that. So after you see so many properties, then with the scale that you've given me, whether it's a 5 or a 7 or a 4 or 3, I'm really listening to what your feedback is. And so there becomes this, maybe after so many properties, we have a important, intelligent conversation about what is keeping you from pulling the trigger sometimes, and since this is a house that looks like it, and you're saying it is, because the vibe is that you're feeling it. If it's not something that is for you, then we have to have a pause and really talk about what is making you uncomfortable, because it's a thing called, cold feet, and I understand it, but what is it that's not bringing you to the decision to go ahead and pull the trigger? Because we're starting to spin our wheels, and it's uncomfortable, but it's necessary.
Now, what's cold feet in your terms? Like, I
Well,
agree. Like, I'm gonna dissect that because I think. Go ahead, define it for me real quick, and I'll tell you what I'm thinking too.
well, it could be an array of things. Sometimes it has 3 to 4 out of 5 things, but it's not the perfect house for you. But there's an adjustment that you can make to make it a 5, but it's just not right now. Not to mention, based on your budget, it might not fit everything you're looking for. So those are the things that we can't skate around. We have to approach it from a realistic perspective as to why it is 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 5 things, because there's no such thing as a perfect house. So that might be one of the things that we would have to talk about in terms of what you're looking for, not fitting.
Yeah, totally agree. Because I had a house built right before, and even that was not the perfect house. Because what happens, cold come in, then you have to pivot based on original layout. Like I was getting a basement built, but how I was looking at how the bathroom was like that. Oh my god, the large room set up. We had to change how the large room looked based on the code. So to your point, there is no perfect house. People reason, right? We reason a way to not make a decision, right? We'll say 25 different reasons why we can't do something right now. And I mean, all guilty human. We all do it. And what I admire from you guys, you find a way to balance that. Understand that it really may not be the house.
Like the previous interview, you guys touched a little bit about being uncomfortable. So up underneath that is a new journey. People look at the 30-year mortgage and they're just scared about, I gotta be in here for 30 years. The payment, stuff like that really kind of sometimes keep people from pulling the trigger as well.
Yeah.
Because I always talk to people, especially in our first time homebuyers class, as renters, you gotta adjust your mindset to being a homeowner, and being able to reap the benefits as a homeowner. Tax credit, writing off your interest on your payment every month. Getting appreciation of the value of the home going up. Factors like, for instance, when you own a home, of course, you don't have your payment. You can pay the payment up until the 15th of the month.
Yeah.
Versus paying on by the 5th.
Yeah, by the 5th, and you're gonna hit a huge penalty when you don't.
Yes. So you're there to the 5th, and you're buying every 30 minutes. Every 30 days, you're buying another 30 days to live in that place. Whereas homeownership, you could work with the bank. One time a year, you could change your payment date when you're owning a home. So if your pay structure changes, you could call the bank and say, hey, instead of the 15th, I want to pay on the 27th.
Yeah, you're right.
One time a year. So those are things that people have to take in consideration of what are the pluses of being a homeowner.
Actually, man, that was really good. Like, and especially the mindset. So because I own and I rent, right? And you right, as a renter, it's a state of mind that you get stuck into. Is a sense of never being at home, right? Because you're constantly still on the move. That every month you're renewing that commitment to stay, and you live as such. I was telling Jamie how I had boxes of my TV and all my stuff still sitting in my storage, paying for storage, just in case I need that box. You're right. When I purchased that property, it's probably the first time I actually renewed my lease, and like,
oh wow,
wow. I literally moved every 12 months. So talk about that a little, man, the mindset part. What is, like, people, this is the critical point, and right now with COVID-19 being home now for 3 months, what's that mindset that you referenced that folks may not realize is happening, and how do you shift?
Well, a lot of times the renter's mentality it's kind of hard to shape because you don't have the responsibility as a homeowner. Things fix, you can call the actual owner and have them fix it. You know, you can get up and leave whenever you want to, you know, and it's something that you get comfortable over time of paying that rent, you know. So what you pay is what you pay. And then also on top of that, people tend to acquire bills, they tend to acquire cars, stuff like that, that kind of puts a budget in place for them to justify renting.
Yeah.
You know, not to mention location. Oh, it's close to my job. I'm closer in, you know. And so those are factors that a lot of times that allow you to just stay as a renter when you really should be owning. And I tell people a lot of times, Jesse, I say, hey, renting is for people with bad credit, and that just don't want to own, but mainly for bad credit. If you have good credit and you're not stable with your job and you don't file your taxes, but if you can even work on your credit to be able to own, but if you're stable with your job and you file your taxes, you should really be trying to appreciate things that are assets. As far as a home, you should really be trying to own, because with a home, it allows you to appreciate things in your life that you can actually own instead of renting and paying somebody else's mortgage, because that's what you're doing.
Yeah, actually, real talk, I'll ask you to add one more layer too, tying back to the mindset and things open up for people. I'll even say it's still in your own life too, right? Which is all those components you mentioned, but I'll add another factor. If you are not settled for whatever reason, that can also show up, you know, to your point. And in a lot of cases, if you're unsettled at work, it's probably most likely you're unsettled at home mentally as well. And so it's a good time to dive in and say, hey, where's home? Like, for me, when I was living in Arkansas, that wasn't home.
Oh wow!
It was nothing against Arkansas. Well, kind of partially, you know, Arkansas too. But it was mainly me, right? And then when I was in Minneapolis, I wasn't really at home. Okay. Actually, I got out of here as fast as I could when I thought my son was moving with me. So I was like, I'm out of here. Seattle's home. It's been home, man. It's been real home. And to your point, that shift is significant when your mind is at rest and you feel at home. And then you make those investments. And so I'm glad you shared. So folks, depending on where you're at in your life, it makes sense. But check in with yourself and see where you're not at home at. Dive into it. And to your point, in a lot of cases, there's holes for pulling the plug. The trigger is because of those reasons. They may tell you, hey, oh, that house is the wrong color. Like, you can change the color. That tree's too tall. You can trim the tree. I'm a tree hugger. I don't encourage you cut down a tree. This is dying. But you can trim the tree. There's things you can do, but people will put reasoning in their descriptor to delay. I see a question popped up. Maybe get this up here for you, man. Oh, okay. Trey Lee's. Have you ever had to explain a cultural norm of your culture to another culture in management? Damn.
Ooh. I gotta think about that. Not really up here. I mean, that's a very good question.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different up here. I mean, we kind of do be who we are, and kind of, I would love for her to elaborate a little bit.
Yeah, get some more, Chaylees. Get some more to that one.
Yeah, because
be a little more vulnerable. Share some more on that one.
Give me an example, because that's good.
Because what's the best pathway to equity so you don't exchange a landlord for a bank lord mortgage? No, yeah.
Oh, no, man. So in terms of, here's the thing. Getting that mortgage is so important. Getting pre-approved is so important when you're looking to purchase a house. So you'll have that buying power. And if you're renting and you've got a pre-approval, you should be looking for a house as soon as possible, because the sooner that you can get into a house and get those keys and exchange those keys and tell a landlord bye-bye, is the faster you're investing in yourself for your future. You know, because, you know, especially with apartments, they'll keep you in those leases, and they'll have prepayment penalties and things like that. And it does come across like that sometimes in terms of renters. And that really, a lot of times when you're working on buying a house, I've had clients that have delayed buying a house because they're scared of breaking their lease. And I tell them, yes, because they're so entrenched in being a renter. So they're going through transition, and it can be scary because, keep in mind, especially first-time home buyers, they're on a tight budget. So they're like, hey, how can I do this when I have a lease payment coming up? And so, yeah, a lot of times it's timing.
What advice do you give them?
Well, part of it is you know that when you purchase a house, per se, you purchase a house in the middle of June. Your first payment is not due until August.
Correct.
So you could collect so many paychecks, 2-3 paychecks to save up. Not to mention, most leasing companies, they'll work with you where you can make a little payment to make them go away.
Especially you talking about front. I think when you have integrity and be very transparent to lenders and so forth up front, then they look at you as a different customer than as if you don't say something, you're late, and then you're like an instant untrusted customer. Same way as humans, as we do one-on-one. If I can't set good terms with you when I first meet you, you know, how am I going to trust you for a 30-year relationship, right? And so to your point, that's huge. I would say too, from being a renter as well as a homeowner, most places that you talk to them, they used to it. They know people break their lease to purchase a house. They know the majority of their customers, especially you live downtown of any city, they actually expect that you're not going to be there long, that you're going to move on, and they actually benefit from it because the market continues to swing. They need things to open up, and so it becomes a new commission sale for that agent there. So it's a win-win. So being said, in most cases, if you help them on the journey to find a sublease or another tenant, they let you off your lease. It's a win-win. Correct. If you're paying, say, $2,000 a month for rent, which is sad to say, guys, that's low for Seattle. That's high for Philly. But, it's really high for Nashville. But say you're paying $2,000 for rent, but you find a sublease, they're paying $2,200. They just literally made 10% on their money doing no work. So I always tell people, don't let that be your restrictor. Just open your mind to what you need to do as steps to create that possibility, right? So I'm glad you shared that one.
Absolutely. So we have someone that's asking thoughts on having 20% down for that house. Do you see that?
Yep.
20% down. I mean, if you're looking for an investment property, that would be what the requirement is for investment property. And as far as the greater Northwest, Tacoma down south is what's happening in terms of buying property. Seattle is expensive,
and black folks are out there too.
Black folks are out here. Yes, they're out there. They are out there. Tacoma. I actually live in Federal Way. It's about 24% black out here.
Wow.
South, you get more for your money. Tacoma is one of the hottest markets to be in terms of buying property. Investment properties, average about 300, 350. And so when you're talking about 20%, that's a great, great down payment for investment property. Retail, you're buying equity, so you don't have to worry about the mortgage insurance if you're putting 20% down.
Yeah, that kicks in. You're right. That kicks in right at anything less than 8% of the value, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And and at 20%, you should be what we call burn, which is buy. You should find a fixer if possible. You should buy rehab, refinance, and rent out.
Yes.
So it's called burning. So yeah,
Explain it a little bit more for folks.
it's for like if you're an investor, you're looking to buy and hold, buy property and hold for rent to rent them out. You want to find property that allows you to have some equity, buy at 70% value. And if there's a little bit of things to fix up, you take that 10% leverage to fix up. As long as you're under 80, you're putting your 20% down. You rehab, light rehab. If you're going to be renting it out, you light rehab it, and you refinance, pull your money out once you close it after you rehab it, and then you rent it out. So that starts your cash flow. That starts a nice little cash flow for you.
I like that. That. That's actually a really good tip for folks. A lot of folks don't understand. Like, thanks for sharing for folks. That's why I want to make sure they knew. Because it's important. Because a lot of folks won't dive into investments because they don't understand how and what it means. Like, okay, I got to put all this money out. How fast can I get that cash back? I think the question really was trying to get at, right? And you just gave them a good perspective. Okay, that 30-year relationship is interesting because it's typically that the bank offload that mortgage to someone, some unknown lender or bank. You have no say in. I mean, give me throw on this one. So we keep reading that like, hey, okay, I hit my relationship with say bank B. Love the mortgage agent person that helped me out. They gave me the money, got a good interest rate, closed the deal. 2 days later, that mortgage B sold my debt to company C. Do you care?
No, that's because that's all they are is stocks, bonds that go on the market. It's a bunch of them. And so the servicer, you'll have a servicer. They have to sell the notes to be able to continue the flow of money, to be able to get more loans, to approve more loans. So that's just typical in the whole process, but it has nothing to do with you because you have a 30-year fixed, and it's fixed for 30 years unless your taxes increase or your insurance increase. You know, unless your taxes or your insurance increase, you're at 30-year fixed. So so what's been happening right now, Jesse, is taxes have gone up because the price of home has gone up. So I've got buyers calling me, hey, Keelan, I see my amount of my mortgage is going up by $120. And actually, I'm not a lender, but I tell them to speak to a lender. But what I do know is because your property taxes have went up or your insurance has went up because your value has went up. Yeah. So those are the only two factors that'll change your 30-year fixed mortgage.
Yeah, people, a good point because you're right. Because one thing, as we know, you pay off your house, but taxes bills still due.
Yes, it's still there.
Still there because that land is still borrowed land.
Yeah. You never really own it, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Being extremely late on submitting paperwork, they don't feel you're a serious buyer wasting time. Oh, so cultural norms tying to management saying, hey, why am I seeing this sector of business of clientele late submitting their stuff in, not getting the material they should get done, essentially having hesitation to, I'm just gonna say it. So like black folks, right? Black folks being late with submitting their paperwork in, right? And how do we make sure some of that is cultural? Is not that we're late, it's just that we maximize everything to the last second, right, before we get it in, but get sent it wrong and push it upstream to the mortgagers or to your real estate agency. That's what I think he's getting at. That makes sense.
Yeah,
how you explain that? There's like that. No, they're a committed buyer, just part of our norm.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, before I even meet up with them or put them in the car, I ask my buyers to be pre-approved. Pre-approved or pre-qualified. I like them to be pre-approved, meaning they've been through underwriting already. Yeah. And all they have to do is find the home. So we're not wasting time. Now, once you get a house, once you get the offer accepted, you put in the earnest money. So your earnest money, it allows you to go through the process. If you put in earnest money and you're lagging on your paperwork, you're jeopardizing the opportunity to have those keys. So you're delaying everything, and you've already put money up to buy the house. Then you really want to be kind of moving along a little faster because you've already put the earnest money you have. I won't allow you to lose your earnest money, but I'll bow out gracefully before I waste your time and the other agent's time and the seller, because that says a lot about me as an agent, you know, and I have to protect myself before we get too far out there and it's last minute and we're not able to close.
Yeah. I like you put it to your right, because to your point, going back to the trust being earned, is a two-way street. And so, and you're right. When people do business with you, like you building a name in the marketplace, right? So they'll start knowing you. They know Trey Lease. They know Keelan. They know your name. So to your point, they know your name. They know the business you bring to the table. They know the clientele. And I agree with you, because that consistency of how you show up is what you share with your customers, is an expectation of how you show up. And as a customer, that's why we're working with you, because we have the expectation that you're going to show up a certain way. So it's reaffirming for you to feel comfortable to stay in the lane that you've seen the deemed to operate, and because that builds your personal brand and both in your values and beliefs and how you operate, but it also who you work with. You're right, with mortgage companies, with lenders, with mortgage companies, with even just other agents. Because they say, I don't want to work with you, because they know the last time was pitiful, right? And they don't blame it on the customer, they blame it on you.
Correct.
So then you have that accountability part. I like how you said that your accountability from your lens, you make your buyer equally, or seller equally as accountable, because they represent you. That's a good one, man.
Absolutely. You know, when we meet buyers, I sit down and I create expectations. What's my responsibility and what they should be doing.
Yeah.
And it's all about expectations, education, understanding, but also transparency, letting them know I'm going to protect you as well. So, you know, but this is something that you want to have happen, and we can make it happen under these terms. So, absolutely.
I like that. And I like about both y'all, like you and Teresa are consistent this way. Buyers like myself, we come in and out, depends on what's happening in life, right? So right now, looking at a property in Seattle, then I had this beautiful opportunity pop up in Nashville. I jumped on it, so that paused what I was doing in Seattle, because you know how banks work. They don't want you just buying 3 properties at the same time, unless you buy them at this. Anyway, it's another conversation. But another conversation. But you know, you do that, so you understood that. All right, we kept it close because I was transparent. Say, hey, guess what happened? Like, yo, you were like, go do it. That makes sense. Now we're talking again, right? And the story changed, right? The story changed. What I'm looking for now, what I'm buying for, and well, it's a different mind. So I think things happen for a reason. The reason why I share a story is you see that too in people, and you know, hey, this could be a quick win or a win over time. But I'm gonna treat this as such. If you try and always go for the short win, you may really lose out on the long win. And the long win is, you know, always better. Because my one realtor, still friends to this day, in New Jersey, I literally purchased the house, sold the house to him, same house, purchased another house, sold that house to him, purchased 5 transactions.
Oh wow!
He got off of me, 5 transactions, right? You know, that's real money, right?
That's real money.
We nurtured relationship. We were connected. I trust his personal brand. We didn't hang out on weekends. We hang out though, you and I. But to him now, we didn't hang out. But it was just a trusted business relationship that was established. So I knew when I went to sell my house, I knew I had to go buy a house what I was dealing with. And so to your point, y'all both demonstrate that consistency. And here's what I show up as. And I'm not going to pressure you to do something you're not ready for my own self-gain, where I know being for the long run will extend.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, man.
Correct. I mean, you know, as agents, you know, our job is to make sure you get the most out of the experience, but it's about you. We got to listen, and we got to listen to trigger words, and we got to deliver. You know, we it's not about us. It's about you because it's an experience and it's supposed to be fun and informative and
Yeah.
educational, so that you should never walk away feeling unsure or making it about, personal or anything. It should be something that's strictly for the client, because that experience is bar none. It can really be stressful if you don't have all the tools. But with you, your experience, so you already know, you've been through it several times. But
yeah, I jumped in the pool. Both
yeah,
feet in.
yeah,
Ain't
exactly.
But
Yeah.
cool.
Which is awesome. You're easy to work with. I mean, and I understand your spirit and your in everything that you're standing for and what you're standing on when we're working together. So it's so much easier.
Void firearms or take the deal? Good question.
Ooh, 5-year arms. If you can avoid 5-year arms, avoid 5-year arms. Why? Because for 5 years, you're able to play ball. You're able to, get that property and have the exact amount of payment. But after 5 years, you don't know what the market will be like. You don't know what the rates will be. You don't really know. So it's the fear of unknown. After 5 years, 5-year arm, you can be on an economic roller coaster as far as rates. Rates could be skyrocketed by that time. So, I mean, unless you really, really feel comfortable and 5-year arm, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. 5-year arms are something that is upfront savings, and it can work for some people that are in sales.
Mm-hmm.
But it also could come back to haunt you or hurt you after 5 years because you don't know what things can look like in 5 years. Whereas 30 years, that's what you're paying.
What's some things you want folks to know, man, that we haven't hit that's key too? Go ahead.
I'd say real estate, it allows you to have economic prosperity for the most part. Dive in, lean in, make it happen. If you're looking to buy real estate, make sure you're prepared. Make sure that you've been at your job for a while. You're stable. Make sure you're stable. Make sure that your credit is ready. If not, then there are places that you can get credit counseling. At read books about buying and about buying homes or attend home buyer classes. So every month I do a first time. Me and Winford, we do a first time home buyer.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we do our first time home buyers. So we service, potential buyers, and we just educate them about the process of buying. Step by step, we break it down from the lender's perspective. We normally have a title person come in, tell them about title and escrow, and I give them the information, the education about the real estate, the agent perspective, and the fiduciary duty that I have to carry along with the process of helping them purchase. And at the end, they get a first-time homebuyer certificate that's good for 2 years.
Yeah.
Even if they're not qualified at the time, we can sit and counsel with them. We can point them in the right direction. But what it does, it gives them the tools to be prepared when they're ready to go. They have the tools, and a lot of times it's Q&A, and they walk away really satisfied about that class. So I really feel good about giving back, doing the class every month. That's
dope. Is that available? I'm sure is that something local to Seattle? Or is that also done state by state in their own? That's actually a cool idea.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure state by state.
Yeah.
But we do it down at my office in Federal Way or at
that's cool, man.
Winford's office. You can catch it on my Facebook. I normally post it on my Facebook, Flowers Real Estate Group. I post the dates. We have one up and coming, and because of COVID, we'll be doing a Zoom style with buyers.
Nice.
That attend, and we provide food, and we converse. We take a break, so it's real casual. It's about 3.5, 4 hours of just funness. Pure fun.
I like that because I think I know you definitely know people's hesitations a lot of times just because it's unknown, either because they didn't grow up seeing it and or wasn't educated on and I tell the importance like having like my kids is, hey, just tell them all throughout the entire process about how money works, how real estate works. So that way, pulling the trigger isn't as hard. I was fortunate, you know, to have parents at home, so I watched and learned from them. Um, and then also to the closing table, and not since you wait to that stage to learn, but damn sure pay attention what you're signing, because they go through dot by dot, and they're paid to the title agent, paid to educate, because they don't want you someone to say that I'll sign documents and not know I'll sign. So one of the things they put in place is you're paying that you actually are paying that person to educate you on what you're signing. And some folks, you know, speed through it. Now it's fine, you've been there before, you know, but their job is to be there for you, and they block their day accordingly to that too. I mean, obviously they're human; they want to be done as fast as possible, but they know you are their employer in that case, right? Find that paying that fee that you're signing that on that line, they're part of that fee to educate. So pre-train and then also confirm. And I'll share real talk. Like one case I found where human error, which is normally the case, but they double charged me on these fees on both sides. I'm like looking at the document, I'm like, this don't look right. Now I'm an accountant, so I'll like debits and credits. I'm like, this don't look right. Like, why am I seeing the same charge twice? And you can tell it was totally human error. I could look at it like this is, oh, I see what they did. But that could have cost me literally like 3 times my money, 3 times that fee, because it was double counted on both sides. So I was paying it twice, right? And so I tell people, don't take it for granted to be right. Make sure you actually read it and look through it, and because that's your money.
Absolutely, that's good that you have a keen eye to be able to spot that. You know,
hell yeah, man.
That was money that wasn't supposed to be in there, you know?
No doubt. That's because I'm an accountant, man.
Right. You're all about numbers. Kudos to you, though. You know, because a lot of people are excited. They just want to sign those docs, and escrow, they're there to deliver the docs and have you sign them, but they really don't get involved with those numbers. So kudos to you, man, on catching that, you know?
Yeah, numbers don't lie.
Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. That's right. Amen to that. Right.
Men lie, women lie, numbers don't.
Numbers don't.
Look at her face. Look.
She's like, oh Lord Jesus, here they go. And it's crazy that we talk about that, because I talk to my investors.
Yeah.
And you know, when it comes to property that they're looking at, I break them down. I break the properties and the numbers down, and that's the formula. There's an actual formula that we break down, and I make sure, hey, this is the truth, because men lie, women lie, numbers don't. So that's
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll get the male agent. I'll get the female agent. No, you're wrong. Damn it. Wrong numbers. Boom. Yeah. So that's good, man. That's a good point. And you're right. Those arms were a big ninja back in the day. In forces earlier, far before the collapse. Yeah, they were, man. They were.
Yeah. I mean, can I add on to that?
Yeah, please do.
I'll tell you. So I used to do insurance at Pimco Insurance, which is a local big company. And I went over from insurance, I was doing loans. And I'm segueing into why I became a real estate agent, is because while I was doing loans, I was working with a processor, and I had told one of my clients that they would be getting a 30-year fixed rate. So I went out of town during the time of their signing. I had to go out of town. They called me when I'm out of town and said, hey, Keelan, what is this 5-year arm that you got us in? Okay. What? Yeah. And I'm like, hold on. Hold that thought. They said, I thought you said we were saving $400. We're saving $650, but this is a 5-year arm you've got us into. So I said, hold on, don't sign the docs. Let me make a phone call. So I called my processor and I said, hey, what did you do to the docs? She said, I didn't lock in a 30-year fixed, so I had to go with a 5-year arm for them to get their docs and sign the escrow. I said, what are you doing? Yeah. So I had to call my client, who's a lawyer, and he was talking all kind of different stuff, and I had to calm him down. make a long story short, he did not sign those documents.
Yeah.
And so that just sucked my energy. And so over the next 6 months, I strategized to become an agent because I felt I did no longer like to deal with money when it came to this whole incident. So it kind of took me for a loop, and that's what made me get into becoming a real estate agent, because I didn't like the financial, emotional toll of being a loan officer. So that's what segued me into real estate, is that, hey, I get to work with clients and it doesn't have to deal with the financial burden of meeting the obligation of saving the money. And so that's what brought me over to real estate.
That's good. And yeah, dude, I was thinking about how many people that will take what they think is a deal. A lot of us, man, take things a deal and get in these bad financial situations, just not knowing. It's sad. The part I love now is having forums like this here, is where we can, and what you're doing, I appreciate, is to educate folks. I dedicate my life to educating people. I live it. I live it at work. I mentor. I connect, because I just see, and I learn just as much from the process, because, you see, we have a real movement happening. Absolutely. I want to make sure that we really are informing us and educating us and healing us and growing our work, growing our network, growing our net worth, as well as our net work. Both have equity, so relationship, capital, and actual hard fixed asset, capital, making sure we grow both. And so thank you for doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
And you know what I'm saying, we gotta keep doing it, and each person we educate, I hate to use the analogy, I'm gonna use it anyway. It's like same way you mentioned how COVID spreads to one person. She's a germaphobe too. I probably should use an example, but how one person get COVID and they can spread quickly to 2 or 3. Same here. We educate one person, then that education extends to 2 or 3. I mentioned earlier, Chelsea's on here, proud mentee of mine, boss lady doing her thing.
Right.
Seeing Shantae on here earlier, boss, and each of them are educating and extending their knowledge and having platforms of their own to educate their masses. Like, I mean, Chelsea and Mark, and they had like 34 people on at a given time talking about financial health, and we're just dope. So I think I know we have to continue to lean in and continue to educate and self-educate and educate. And that's how you change that paradigm shift for us, man. So you're doing that for us, man. No doubt.
Correct.
Yeah, it's real.
Good stuff, man.
Any resources, thoughts, books, materials, suggestions for folks to think about, if it's shifting the mindset regarding to going from renter to a homeowner or is it a homeowner turning to an investor, or just getting educated about real estate as a whole, or just general life books? Any recommendations you should share, or resources or tools, websites that could get useful for folks?
Yeah, I mean, join your local, if you're looking to be an investor or learn how to invest in real estate, grab the closest person to you that's doing real estate already, that's investing, pick their brain, join your local real estate investment chapter in your area.
I need to do that, Trey Lease. I need to do that. Good point. I haven't done it in Nashville. Yep.
Yeah, join your local meetups. There's several local meetups around Seattle and around that I attend from time to time.
Yeah.
There's Facebook groups, investment groups, RARI, which is Washington Real Estate Investment Group. In terms of being a real estate agent, I would say read the Sales Bible. It's called the Sales Bible. It gives you the tools kind of for you to be able to navigate through the real estate and sales part of real estate. But for the most part, just on a day-to-day, it's all about do, be, and have. Do the work, be the person, you'll have whatever you want. That's just That's just what it all boils down to. Stay
I
in your
like that.
lane, stay in your lane, stay humble, but do be and have. Do the work, be that person, and you'll have whatever.
I love it. I'm putting it in here. Do, be, and have. I
Do,
like
be,
that.
and have. That's just, it's just, it doesn't have to be complicated. Just focus, like you said, lean in, but do the work, be that person, and you'll have whatever your heart desires, for sure.
I love it, man. Dude. That right there applies to everything in life. And
yes.
And I sign up for that and say, be, and to do, I always say to be also to be present.
Yes.
And do take the action, right?
Yes.
Have is create the possibility.
Absolutely.
Have it. So, man, I love this, man.
Man, me too. I enjoy it, man. It's been, dude, this is awesome. This is really good.
Appreciate you, man. Hello, this is Mr. Rose. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to come back every week for new podcast content. Special thanks to my daughter and her team and all their hard work putting this content together. Be engaged. Be aware. Be ready. Be heard. Thank you.